Welcome back to Digimon Story Lost Evolution. Previously, I traveled to South Bridge on foot, finally establishing a connection there, though Asuka got taken by a War Growlmon, so I had to chase after her. Finding Hiroyuki in Tamer Town, I continued my travels, all the way to Limit Valley. I fought Uno of the bandits there, who told me to go away from this world, as my friends may have become unrecognizable. The Palace Laboratory must be nearby, so let's get to it. To the northeast of Limit Valley's final area is the Palace Laboratory. This place has wild Digimon that include Gardramon. This bulldozer has 2 mega options, though this is a case of needing to befriend one to unlock the other. Deputymon has 2 Mamemon as evolution options, though only one of them reaches mega. Blockmon's line ends in one of 2 Royal Knights. Fightermon has Melt, while Lekismon has Dive. Pretty good to see previous star Digimon being easily available in the wild in different levels. Megadramon has no possible Mega evolution at all. It acts as a connector between the Vmon and Dormon lines. Wergarurumon has Bulldoze, which will be lost on further evolution. Monzaimon evolves through a warp, connecting Kaimon to Lalamon. Magna Angemon has 3 Mega options, though fresh converts will only have Seraphimon available. Andromon is Gardramon's evolution, so pretty much already covered. Piximon is surprisingly a diver, one of the few that isn't associated with water. Makaugamon is similar to Wergarurumon, a bulldozing beast that loses that skill on evolution. I go west from the starting point, then north, finding a chest that has 3 Ethers Alpha. I go back to the start, then east, climbing the ladder here to open a chest that has 3 antidotes. I go west, then north, finding a warp at the end of the path. I take it, then go east, taking a second warp. It is here that I find none other than Takto. He's safe, and he knows where Yui is. This should have been good news! Before he reveals himself as War Growlmon's tamer, and wants to stop us on our tracks. Time for War Growlmon round 3. This time he's got Dino Beamon and Master Tyrannomon reinforcements. Let's just get on with it, I defeat him again. And Takto reveals that me being a strong tamer is a threat to Yui, and leaves. Now that I can advance a bit further, I can find Metal Tyrannomon. It has Melt, and an evolution to Machine Dramon, meaning potential Apocalypse access. I go southwest, finding a boss chest behind ice. Then go southwest again to open a chest that has an elite dagger. I go back to areas, then go east for another 2 areas, climb a ladder for a chest that contains a revive, then take the 3rd warp. It's here that I find Asuka, which should have been good news, but she's not feeling quite like herself, seeking a Grappleomon and Mermaidmon against me. This is a fast wipe, my opponents barely had a turn. She leaves Grappleomon behind, believing him useless. Grappleomon seems to forget everything that has just happened, so he leaves to find his tamer. Time to go for the warp pad, I guess. This takes me to the Union Room. Wait, what? I'm welcomed to this room by Colonel. We ask about Asuka. He claims to know her, so he realizes we're her friends. Colonel's wish is to make a new tamer union, gathering many tamers at the home area, but as his spiel goes on, the erasers arrive. They send out a Magna Angemon, Slash Angemon, and Angemon. The angels are much more threatening than the tamers from before, but they still take quite a bit of damage. The erasers take monster form once again. Fortunately, I'm still dealing pretty big damage. Showing my prowess means that Colonel sends the address to Task Canyon and East City, which are in the graphics board continent, which features 4 areas and cities. Each city has a champion. If I defeat them, I can enter a competition to determine the strongest tamer. Hiroyuki wonders, why not just face the selectors right away? But Colonel argues that we need tamers of great strength to do so. Back at the Digibase, Terriermon begins investigating the address, finding out that the new continent is in a different server. Due to the danger ahead, Terriermon suggests that Hiroyuki stays here. I take on the quest, Desert Apple Discovery Operation. Ogremon wants a golden apple that can be found in Pixel Desert. Tentomon might know something about it. In order to go to that area, I must go to Restor Jungle. In the final area is a pit that leads to South Cave. This cave features new Digimon that include Bakemon. He can easily reach Mega. It gains cut when doing so. Renamon, her line gets Melt, with a relatively easier line to Mega. Ninjamon, this oddball can dive, though going to Vaidmon loses it. Wizardmon has a wide variety of lines to choose, ending in one of 5 Megas. Wendigomon has 2 choices of Kerubimon as destinations. Sanglupmon is another dark Digimon capable of cutting. Cubimon is Renmon's evolution, so nothing more to say. Finally, Digitamamon won't reach Mega on fresh Digiconversion. I go northeast to the central area, then northeast again to climb the tunnel to the Pixel Desert. This new biome features new wild Digimon that include Tyrannomon. Reaching Master is a bit difficult at first, so first run might end on Spinomon. Starmon ends in Justimon, just like World DS, though befriending Monodramon beforehand is a must. Tankmon is not only a connector between two rookies, it ends in Darkramon, a possible step for Chaosmon. Aquilamon drops important plates to help with reaching Sylphimon. Geogreymon is an alternative to Greymon, but this line will reach Mega later. Ankylomon is much of the same as Aquilamon, in regards to Shakomon at least. Strikegreymon has Dig, and is another option to reach Justimon. Rise Greymon is Geogreymon's evolution, so all that's been said before applies here. I break a boulder at my northeast, finding a chest in the next area that has an EXP 2000. I go back, then southwest, open a chest that contains a pixel key. I return once again to the starting area, then northwest, followed by northeast, which is where I find Tentomon. He thinks the golden apple, which might not be edible, is covered in sand. He could brush it off. There's a chest in this area that contains free antidotes. Then I take the upper path to the east, finding the golden apple and opening the Digiport as well. I take the apple back to Tentomon, who cleans it, so I can take it back to Ogremon, receiving a full restore as part of the reward. Next quest I take on is Set Your Sights at the Certificate of Courage. Salamon is participating in a tournament at Shadow Abyss. She must gather 4 fragments, and wants our help in doing so. In order to reach this area, I must go to South Cave, then go southeast from the central area. New wild Digimon found in this area include Dark Tyrannomon, which has 3 options for lines. The one that ends in Black Greymon could be the easiest, but will need a bit of extra help. Volcanomon ends in either an Ancient Warrior or warps to Boltmon. It requires the befriending of Andromon for the latter. Wergarurumon Black has 2 11+12 Megas, but their plates are found in late game. Infermon can reach Mega Plus, but Kuramon will be needed to reach all the way to the end. Skull Greymon can only reach Black War Greymon when the Orange War Greymon's plate is repaired. At least this one is at 100% by default. Phantomon can reach Mega after getting a late game plate. Gigadramon is Techmon's evolution, who has been mentioned before. And finally, Lady Devimon is another Digimon with a Mega that needs a late game plate. I meet with Salamon again as I emerge. Each Digimon holds a courage piece. I go for 3 of those, while Salamon goes for 1 of her own. I first go for the north, open a chest that has a thin spear, then take the northmost path, which is where I find the first challenge, Cyberdramon, who is joined by a Strikegreymon. Defeating them grants me Courage Piece B. I go south, open a chest that contains 1500 bits, then go back to areas. This time, I go for the southeast path, finding a chest that has a shadow key. I also break a boulder at the south that leads to a boss chest. I go back 1 area, then go for the east path, which is where I find a chest that contains the Flaming Wheel Farm Good. I digivolve Kage to Ravemon, then meet my second opponent, a Volcanomon that is accompanied by a Tankmon. Defeating them grants me Courage Piece D. I trek all the way back to the first area, then go for the west path, finding my last opponent, Metal Greymon. He's aided by a Gardramon. After they fall, I get Courage Piece C. I open up the Digiport, then convene with Salamon at the base. She can finally complete the Proof of Courage. The rewards include an EXP 500, a Gatomon plate, and an Azulongmon plate beta. This one has green crystal bugs that are even harder to dislodge than the pink ones, requiring the strongest of tools that I don't quite have yet. I buy a farm island that I named Gobi, and then prepare for the next wave of farm quests. First, I go for, once again, it's Dracmon, which requires a carefree Greymon. Dracmon is playing pranks again. Bothering Greymon, he might be found in Pallet Amazon. I start from the Digiport side, going south then southwest, finding Dracmon. He says that if I get him a purple stone that he will stop pranking. I go back 1 area to take the east path instead, followed by further east another 3 times. It's here that I find that purple stone that I deliver back to Dracmon. He can finally digivolve, or so he thinks. He lashes out at me for thinking I've tricked him. His paralysis can be annoying, but realistically he's not even close to being a threat. Even though I won, he will never stop with his pranks. I report to Greymon, who gives me an EXP 500 as part of the reward. Next up is, they've disappeared? Search for the Cubi tails, which requires a modest Cubimon. She's missing 2 of her tails. She might have dropped them at Register Jungle. From the Digiport side I go south and west, finding the first tail on top of the plateau. I then go west twice, finding the second tail. When I report to Cubimon though, she says that actually the tails were just hidden. But if that is the case, just what did I pick up? With that unnerving thought left behind, I received the Machine Claws and a Cubimon plate as part of the reward. The next quest is a message from Chromon, or rather Yatagaramon, which requires a Wild Angemon. He missed Yatagaramon's training. He should be in Login Mountain. I find him by the third area, and he lashes out in silent anger. After winning, he tells me to get the G-Powered X in this mountain. It is found in a chest by the first area, which I deliver to Angemon. I receive an Ether Alpha and a large tree farm good as part of the reward. Next up is Wizardmon's Mysterious Medicine, which requires a carefree Wizardmon. He wants me to deliver medicine in his stead. I get 3 doses to deliver to patients of Rest or Jungle. I go south to find the first patient, Talmon. 2 areas west is where I find the second, Patamon, while another trip west has me find the third, Agumon. I report to Wizardmon, receiving 3 medicines and 2 revives as part of the reward. I follow with Extreme, Bang, Lava Drink, which requires a selfish Sealamon. He's got a cold and wants to drink the lava drink of Shadow Abyss to cure it. I go north through 3 areas, then go southwest, finding a Kinkymon. I fight him for the lava drink. He is paired with a Bombardinimon. When defeated, he relinquishes the drink, which I deliver to Sealamon, receiving a revive, a Sealamon plate, and Chaosmon plate beta as part of the reward. Next quest is Tankmon's Treads, return the Caterpillar track, which requires a wild Tankmon. His tracks were stolen by a Matadormon at Pixel Desert, so he's been rendered immobile. I go northwest, southwest, southeast, and southwest, finding the culprit, but he claims that actually Chillinmon did it. I go back 3 areas, finding Chillinmon, who's quite offended at his accusation, so a fight breaks out. After the misunderstanding is cleared, I go back to Matadormon, who's always been the culprit after all, so I beat him for Tankmon's Treads. With Tankmon repaired, I receive an Ether Alpha and a Trampoline Farm good as part of the reward. I then go for the hat from Pac-Mon's Great Store, which requires a cool Pac-Mon. He needs some materials that are found in Limit Valley to make hats. I go for the western path that leads southeast, dropping down a cliff to go even further east, which is where I find the Silk Cloth. Next, I go for the upper east path, going all the way to the boss area, which is where I find the Crest Feather. I deliver both materials to Pac-Mon, receiving a Fuga Chainmail and an EXP 500 as part of the reward. Next up is I Want to Be Beautiful, Dokugumon's Diet, which requires a selfish Dokugumon. He wants the diet fruit of Palace Laboratory to help with his diet. After entering the laboratory, I travel all the way to after the second warp, finding a Lilymon with a diet fruit. She's doing some exercising as well, and wagers the fruit in a fight. She's aided by 2 Lalamon. After I win, I take the fruit to Dokugumon, receiving 2 medicines, an Arukenimon plate, and an Apocalypmon plate beta as part of the reward. The last quest of the set is Deputy Mon's Quick Draw Special Training Course, which requires a cool Ninjamon. Deputy Mon is looking for a training partner, but Ninjamon can't quite make it, so I go in his place. After arriving at Limit Valley, I go east twice, finding Deputy Mon and facing him in a warm-up fight, followed up by a more serious one. With the training done, I report to Ninjamon, getting a solar panel farm good, a Deputy Mon plate, and Ebermumon plate beta as part of the reward. After this, I go for Shadow Abyss's boss chest, which is guarded by a gaggle of Tyrannomon comprised of Metal Tyrannomon, Dark Tyrannomon, Master Tyrannomon, Tyrannomon, and Mame Tyrannomon. They're not so tough. Well, Master is quite a bit more tanky, but after I win, I get a Surefire Sword. What about Palace Laboratories? Let's just leave that one for later. I finish things by buying the double cleaner from Andramon, as well as buying a third farm island that I named Bermuda. It's just good news one after the other, am I right? I took on the challenge of the Palace Laboratory, the place where Tamers never returned from, finding Takto, who acted rather aggressive against me, followed by Asuka, who was more of the same. At the end, I met with Colonel, who's starting a tournament in the Graphic Sport continent to determine who's the strongest Tamer. That way we could have a chance against the selectors. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you next time, as I start my journey to become the strongest Tamer.